OneShot is a puzzle/adventure game released originally in 2016. The game features heavy metafictional elements, not only acknowledging the fourth wall, but utilizing it in such a way that it pulls you so much deeper into the game, becoming part of it yourself. There's two quote-unquote main versions of the game, the 2016 Steam release titled OneShot and the more recent remake, OneShot World Machine Edition. World Machine Edition released in 2022 for consoles and came over to PC in 2024. The main difference being that OneShot takes place on your computer and the World Machine Edition takes place on a virtual operating system sort of thing. More on that in a bit. There's also a freeware version from 2014, but it's really a prototype proof of concept sort of thing, so we're not going to cover it in this video. I originally played OneShot through the 2016 Steam release like 2 weeks ago. Did you think I was going to say day one? And the footage for this video comes from the PC version of World Machine Edition. I have not been able to stop thinking about this game since I played it. Before we go any further, I know there's a disclaimer at the start of the video, but I really want to stress that OneShot is a game that is best experienced blind. If you are at all interested in it, please play it before watching this video. Play the original Steam release if you're okay with the game interacting with computer files, or the World Machine Edition if you're not comfortable with that. Okay, now that that's out of the way, OneShot is a phenomenal example of storytelling that can only be done within its medium. The game interacts directly with your system, creating files, changing your desktop wallpaper, and it knows that you exist. Made by the indie studio Future Cat based on the freeware version, the original 2016 PC release of the game flew under a lot of people's radars but garnered an underground, almost cult-like following. Whispers on the wind of a funny cat game that was relatively unheard of but adored by those it managed to convince to check it out. I love OneShot. I don't think a game has impacted me this much this quickly since I first played Undertale way back when. Heavy praise, I know, but hear me out. This game has been elusive to me for a while now. I first heard of it a few years ago on online forums and discussions and I thought, yeah, okay, I'll check that out one day. Flash forward to a couple weeks back and I suddenly feel an urge to go back and find that funny cat game I'd heard about and play it through to completion. I had no idea what to expect. The only thing I knew was to turn off Wallpaper Engine on my PC, so I did that, booted it up, and I completed the entire game in one sitting. Oh my god, this game is f***ing incredible. To get it out of the way, the core gameplay is nothing to write home about. It's very much just walking through the world and interacting with characters and objects to solve small puzzles, but man, the characters! The haunting ethereal soundscape, the meta elements, the narrative, all of that with the gameplay as the glue, and you have one of the most unique gaming experiences I've ever come across. You play as Nico, but for reasons that become more apparent later, it's more like playing alongside Nico. They're this quirky little kid who loves pancakes and wants to go home. Yeah, I would too if I woke up in an abandoned house. You explore the room, find a remote, solve a puzzle that lets you turn on a computer, and the game shows its hand for the first time. The entity in the computer mumbles a bunch of nonsense about how the world isn't worth saving, your actions will affect Nico, and your mission is to help Nico leave. You know, stock standard video gamey stuff. And then the system addresses you by your name. The Windows version was a little freakier because it generates an actual Windows pop-up with your user account name, which in most cases is your real name, but the World Machine Edition uses your console or Steam username. Either way, that fourth wall is broken, baby, and we're only like 15 seconds in. You explore more of the house, probably a little more on edge than you were before, learning how to combine items to solve another puzzle that gets you a basement key. Down the steps, and we find the key to OneShot's story, the sun. Yeah, it's a light bulb, I know, but that's just what it says on the tin, dude. The light is the world's sun. Just go with it. We escape the house and are mysteriously transported to a purple wasteland that we later find out is called the Barrens. It's full of rundown robots, strange jars full of bioluminescent shrimp, and this guy. This is ProphetBot, and he spends his days waiting for the messiah of the world to arrive. That's Nico, by the way, and you, the player, are God. Yep. ProphetBot refers to you as the god of the world. We find out that Nico isn't from around here, and at this point, the lines between the game world and the real world become blurred as Nico closes their eyes and reaches out to you. Nico has the unique ability to speak directly to you, the player. They form a bond with you and you with them as the two of you become intertwined in your quest to return the sun to a looming, far-off tower. Nico will occasionally question things you ask them to do and sometimes outright refuse to perform certain actions like smashing the sun with a crowbar, and you in turn can occasionally influence Nico's actions too. Hey Nico, do a robot voice! Form quite the connection with this little goober, becoming genuinely invested in their wishes to go home, and that's even further reinforced when, at various points in the game, Nico takes a nap. What? We find that we can see Nico's dreams of their village back in their homeworld. Over the game, we learn more about it, including some details about their mama, the fact that they love pancakes, and a few other things. They're small, but they're enough to truly make you feel like Nico is their own person beyond just a character in a video game. We explore the Barrens some more, and at some point come across a safe that requires a 6-digit code that we don't know. We meet Silver, a robot who looks and acts quite differently from the other robots in the area. She is quote-unquote tamed, which means that unlike ProfitBot, she's able to act outside of her programming, less like a traditional robot and more like an actual person. Keep this in mind, it'll be on the test. On that locked safe, while some of the robots around the Barrens are busted beyond repair, some of them are simply powered down. After solving a few puzzles and making a new battery, we're able to get things up and running again, including this computer, which... we're given a hint that we should check out a document. This is the first time that the game directly interacts with our operating system. Jumping into the files, we can see that there is a new file in our documents folder with a garbled message from someone, whatever, but more importantly, the code we need is right there. It gives us an item that we need to progress, and interestingly, a strange journal with a black clover on it. After a few more instances of gathering items, we fix up a robot on a rowboat, play chess with Silver and bid her adieu, and then get on over to the next area of the game, the Glen. By this point, I was locked in. The world was interesting, the characters were intriguing, and the story of returning the sun had me invested. I wanted to know more. And also Nico, their dreams, the way they talk to characters, their little asides. It had only been like an hour, but I knew I was in it for the long haul. Arriving at the Glen, we see the effects of the dying world a little more clearly. A village is struggling to survive, people are losing hope, and strange vines have started to block certain parts of the world. Here we meet a few interesting characters, including Shepherd, who asks you to help herd their rams, some of which make odd noises, Magpie, a trader of sorts who unfortunately won't take the sun, and Calamus, a polite young boy who's worried about his sister's whereabouts. Running through some ruins, we discover Maze, a plant spirit who is A, responsible for the vines blocking places, and B, wants to see the sun. Dropping it off like it's a kid at daycare, it allows for us to get deeper into the ruins as the vines have receded. Our OS gets interacted with more, this time changing our desktop background, we solve a puzzle, and we meet Alula. She's the sister of Calamus, and after reuniting the kids, we're invited to their house. I don't know about anyone else, but in a world defined by its bleakness, Calamus and Alula, to me, feel like the beating heart of it. Despite people being relatively optimistic, there is an air of futility in the words of the townsfolk, like they know that the world's going to end, regardless of if the sun is returned or not. Calamus and Alula, however, inject some much-needed innocence and childlike wonder in the world. One of my favorite interactions in the game involves them when you check out their courtyard. Fish! We get a feather from them, which we're told is from an ancient prophet that it's sacred, yada yada, so naturally we drench it in ink and use it as a pen. We are nothing if not resourceful, baby. Oh, and Maze dies. That was kind of sad, actually. We get the sun back though, so a win is a win. Enter the Refuge. A vast, sprawling cityscape that's not as big as it looks is the penultimate set piece for our adventure. Our first order of business is to fix a busted elevator. There's a few more characters here, but the standout for me is this penguin. Hello, penguin.
Hello.
Just kidding. It's Lamplighter. He's an overcaffeinated, overworked, and probably underpaid guy that just wants to get on with his day. He's sweet. Nico can have another dream here. We can meet a few other characters like Ling in the cafe, who is apparently the protagonist of the next game by Future Cat. That's cool. Will it be connected to this? Who knows? You can also continue a side quest that starts if you pick up the kernel left by Maze after she dies. There's a whole thing about regrowing her in a little garden, and you can collect various goodies throughout the game like dirt and water to do so. It's totally optional, but it's another little thing that gives the game that personal touch. And you can ride a Roomba. Game of the year! As we get closer to the tower, strangely, the mysterious fourth wall breaking entity goes silent. The puzzles in this part of the world are entirely solved in universe. We get to the library where we learn more about the author. We hear a little bit about him throughout the game, but this is the first time where we can truly see his impact on this world. There's books galore full of world building, and we see that he's pretty much one of the most important people in this society, or rather was one of the most important people. He hasn't stopped by for months apparently, but people don't seem to be too worried. After a few more puzzles and the destruction of the head scientist's library card, we meet George, who offers to translate the strange journal we found all the way back in the Barrens. Niko has a nap, dreams about the sun being shattered, goes back up to Ling and fuels up on some pancakes, and we finally march on forward towards the tower. The main thing we discover from George's translation of the journal is that we will know what to do when we enter the tower. The base of it is a single room with a red square and a white cross in it. Up until this point, OneShot's interaction with your operating system and with you is generally pretty tame, but all of that changes when you reach this point in the story. The fourth wall is broken from the get-go, yeah, but once you get to the tower, not only is it built back up, but you find yourself inside it. The tower section of OneShot genuinely floored me on my first playthrough. For a bit of a play-by-play, Niko is trapped in an endless sleep by the entity who claims that we'd completed our journey and we are told directly not to return to the world anymore. Okay. But by booting the game back up, the desktop wallpaper changes again, hinting at the key to overcoming it. You reconnect with Niko, the entity catches on that something is up and tells you that if you don't want to leave, it'll make sure you never do. It throws you into a strange, otherworldly maze with seemingly no guide. Until you check that strange Clover application again to discover that there is a message directly addressed to you. The Clover symbol lines up with the one on your game window, becoming a map? And thus begins one of the defining moments of this game. Back then, I told you about the entity as little as possible. Apologies for that. I did not want to put the librarian in danger. This being has a habit of silencing the people who learn of its true nature. Regrettably, I have seen it happen to dear friends. But do not worry. The entity cannot touch you, nor can it do anything to me. I already left the world on my own terms. I never meant for the entity to exist. But now that it is fully sentient, one thing became clear. The entity seeks death. Death to itself, death to the world, a relentless desire that manifested physically. You have already seen the scars. Right now, the entity is doing everything it can to impede your progress, stalling for even a few minutes before you inevitably bring the sun to the tower's summit. That is where you, God, will make the final judgment for the world. Of course, the entity will contact you again there. And when it does, it will trick you into shattering the sun. This will end the world instantly. No, it is not that simple. I am sorry. I do not know what to do in a situation like this. But I think I have to tell you the truth. The sun is the Messiah's tie to the world. As long as the sun is intact, the Messiah remains trapped here. Shattering the sun may terminate this world, but it is also the only way for the Messiah to return home. I did not realize things could end up like this. Please forgive me. Holy shit, this blew my mind. We'll talk about the lore implications in a second, but just the idea of using a separate application to help guide you through this infinite maze was insane. Forgive me if there's other examples of this that I don't know of, but I have never seen something like this before. And not only is it cool as from a gameplay perspective, it's also one of the most creative uses of interactive storytelling maybe ever. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that this is the author speaking directly to us, the player. We get a bit of exposition about the entity, we learn that it was made by him, but the main thing we discover is that there is a choice to make. It's Niko or it's the world. We can't save both. We reconnect with Niko, find ourselves in a fixed-up version of the banged-up house, and the entity does contact us, and true to the author's word, tells us to shatter the light bulb. But it admits it can't go outside its programming. The final choice is up to you. Not Niko, not the author, not the entity, you. It's such an intriguing dilemma, especially because we only find this out a few minutes before we actually have to make that choice. Your mind immediately starts a tug of war thinking about Nico, about their village, about their mama, their pancakes, but quickly it jumps over to the world. All the people that you met on your adventure, innocent children like Calamus and Alula, is it worth sacrificing them to get Nico home? The world is already dying after all, but is it not the right thing to bring these people hope? It's one or the other. Return the sun or return home, but not both. Because, after all, you know, there's a saying that goes around about how people wish they could experience something for the first time again. I have never felt that until now. I get it. I get why people love this game. OneShot is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that has not left my mind since I played it. I mean, hell, you can't even replay the game without deleting your save progress. And it's not like anything changes. You can't fix the outcome. You can't have a happy ending for both Nico and the world. But what if you could?